Oh, well, that was excellent.
15.
Especially with the extended rest and the extension on the cue. Changes the way the cue performs completely. That was wonderful. Now, it's not obvious where the next red is coming from. It does have an angle on the blue. He could force the cue ball into the pink if he wants to try and spread the reds, but there's a couple of potential plants, and the last thing you'd want to see is a red drip into a corner pocket. So the first shot he looked at was a cannon to the red furthest to the right of the table, but that can go wrong. So this isn't straightforward. He's just seen the plant. 3 reds from the pink that leads to the left-hand corner pocket. That's what he's looking at now.
He's now having a look at those 2 reds just below the cluster. Could they be made into a plant? Well, decision time. Coming round to cannon them off 2 cushions. Didn't get a good contact. Well, he's released 1 red,
20.
but this isn't ideal.
Yeah, and you can just see he's fighting it. This morning he's been in every frame so far. He had chances. Can't get that cue ball in the right place. Nothing straightforward at the moment. Again, that ball on the baulk cushion, this time the green, causing all the problems here as he reaches over. It's not only caused him to miss it, but it caused him to alter how he wanted to play the shot as well. Played that very defensively. But from Mark Allen's perspective, at least this time he hasn't left an opportunity for Mark Selby, who, it has to be said, is in fantastic form this morning.
Didn't want to risk going back to the baulk end and leaving Mark Allen a possible pot on to this left corner, but I'm a little bit surprised because he's going to gain no advantage. You'd expect Mark Allen to find that baulk cushion. You'd even think target maybe the green. Well, he's playing to slip down the yellow the other side. Can he cover a side of the pack? Not quite. But a good cue ball. And that puts a little bit of pressure on this safety. Well, much too thin. Where's the cue ball going? Is it going behind the yellow? Not quite. Well, he's left nothing, but Mark with his hand on the table, you'd expect him to find the baulk cushion.
Yeah, and I was going to say this on Mark Allen's previous visit, but I'll say it now. I think this is a mistake from Mark Allen, what we're seeing here. Yes, he's got a good safety shot, but I actually think this is a mistake going down this path with Mark Selby. These thin edge safeties, not trying to leave anything. I think the way to beat Mark Selby is to get the balls open and introduce some threat into the game. There's no threat at the moment.
caught that too thick. That's why he collided with the brown. Now, anything to tempt Mark Allen. Thin cut to the left corner. Half ball pot to the right corner. Made slightly more difficult because work to do with the cue ball isn't a straightforward pot and position. Good line. Good line.
That's the route that Mark Selby's having a look at, just off 2 cushions into the back of that single red. You always err on the side of being short on the first attempt, just to get some sense of speed. It's a bit fast this, but I think the line's going to save him. Very lucky to get through that gap. Applause from the crowd, but he certainly didn't play to go through there and finish behind the brown. He mishit that completely. Played behind the black, or maybe played the cannon to the green, but he didn't mean that. And flukes can come in all shapes and sizes. He did briefly look at that escape. That's one route. There's very few players in the game, in the history of the game, better at escaping snookers than Mark Selby.
Well, I like your choice. He's probably a bit concerned now it might slide off the 3rd cushion. Coming across 2 cushions, it just seems that blue in the middle of the table is like a football. I mean, I'm sure he's thought about it, but there is the 2 cushion escape with pace. But because these reds, 2 sets of reds and one near the top cushion, he's just thinking, can I find a path to that? So I think it's your choice now, Sean. It's just the slide off the 3rd cushion, you're never certain. Yep, and that was the problem.
Oh,
he's overhit it. No miss will be taken here.
One.
Well, the black spot doesn't look that promising at the moment. Even if it spots on its own spot, the black's going to be tied up after this shot. So Mark Allen would love to see it go back on. Well, he'll actually go on the brown spot this time if the black spot's occupied. I'm not sure that's great news. And he's overhit it for this red by the pack. Missed a shot similar to this in the previous frame. No mistake this time.
9.
Normally you think, well, play a cannon here and those two reds are the right and the black, but the red immediately to the right, the one on the right hand side of the table, that is a blocker, so he's got to play on that red this time. Clear that away, and then it will give him options as to whether he wants to try and bring the pink into play, the black into play in a few shots' time. So play for the red on the right hand side of the table. And I'm just wondering, Sean,
11.
does the black go into the left corner? It obviously does.
12.
I like you, Sean. I didn't think there'd be enough room. But the question I will ask, if it did go, why didn't he leave himself high on the black to play a cannon of some kind? Anyway, it's his choice. He's got a plan. Let's see how it works out.
Yeah, this has gone wrong, and I agree with you, JV. That was the wrong shot choice.
19.
Wasn't that shot that was the bad shot, it was the previous one. And with what we've seen so far, he's lost the last 6 frames on the spin from leading 6-3. He needs to protect this 43-point lead. He's got no colours on a cushion. There are no insurance policies taken out here in this frame. Should it go wrong, must be careful.
Mark Allen, 19.
Yeah, walks back to his seat. Just not scoring when he gets his chances. Digging in. Just keep your eye on the red, because he won't have a clue where it's going. But he's judged it to perfection. Up and down twice, but look at the cue ball. Mark Selby at his absolute best.
Yeah, and I have to drag us back 10 minutes to when I said I thought the shot choice of Mark Allen's when his break finished a while ago was a mistake. This is the problem. If you don't attack Selby and get the balls open and introduce that threat to the game, you end up in a safety battle, which Mark Allen has now just lost. And now his lead means nothing if this red goes in.
Cue ball needs to slow up. We just lost it slightly. Has he gone too far? Yes, he has. Big mistake from Mark Selby. As Sean said, he won the safety exchange. He's only going to get one from it.
Yeah, but now this follows the pattern of yesterday's session, doesn't it, JV? Now you're embroiled. You didn't want to be, but now you've got to get in the trenches and fight.
Mark Selby 1.
With only the yellow on its spot, it's difficult to play a telling safety, i.e. get a snooker or a cover. So the only way you can play a telling safety, find the baulk cushion. This is very good.
Thanks, Mark. Sorry?
So I can see that,
Yeah, yeah.
Mark stepped to one side to let referee Leo Scullion, and then he said to him, "You can see I can hit that red." And he said, "Of course I can." Bit thick, so he's not got a good cue ball. It's safe, but now with his hand on the table being close to reds, you feel it is a chance for Mark Allen to get the upper hand.
I like trying to get the cue ball over towards the green pocket from this shot. Trying to use the brown, blue and pink as blockers. And Mark has tried to get the cue ball over that side of the table, but there was a plant of two reds underneath the black there that were dangerous towards this right corner, so had to choose the thin safety there. But he has left Mark Selby that chance to get that cue ball into that area of the table I was talking about. So Mark Selby with the upper hand here.
Much too thin. Now we have a target, yellow and blue. Not saying you can play for it this time around, but it is a target for one of the players in a few shots' time to play a telling safety. Just having a look at the situation, hard to see him risking a path back to baulk, so just a containing safety. Not absolutely straightforward.
Well, another excellently judged Weighted cue ball from Mark Allen. Mark Selby, an absolute master of escapology. What's he going to conjure up for us this time?
Well, his last couple of safety shots, he's hit one too thin, one too thick from distance. And that one is pretty good, and this brown could come into play here. Can just get past the brown for the reds on the other side of the table. What did you see? Block that side off. Another poor strike there from Mark. I just feel at the moment, Sean, he needs something to show for his efforts. You know, all human beings, you put a lot of effort in, but you need something to show for it. At the moment, he's got nothing.
Well, much was said about how tiring and exerting yesterday's session was, and on today has followed a similar pattern. Mark Allen has put a lot in and got nothing out of it so far, and as you say, he'll need to get some sort of payback at some stage. He's lost the last 6 frames on the bounce, and this frame now into its 26th minute. Only half the reds have been potted. We've seen this before, and we know how this normally ends. That's why getting in these fights with Mark Selby is bad news.
Well, that time he tried to get in behind that target of brown and yellow, but that was poor. His standards. Not the first poor safety shot he's played in this frame, but the first time he's left Mark Allen an easy starter.
One.
And this is what happens when you have a period and a bout of safety play like this. There's just no fluency. So when you get a chance like that, you've not really got the touch and feel to play the shot with the spin needed to avoid the cannon. And a chance that should have won you the frame only yields 1 point.
Well, there is that target I mentioned earlier, yellow and blue. No reason to think he wouldn't play like. I suppose the only thing he's concerned, if he clips thin off the pink, there's a chance he could pot the pink in the middle. Wouldn't want to do that and get the snooker. But a high-value colour, another one near a cushion, when you've got a 43-point lead, no bad thing.
Mark Allen, one.
Well, another excellently weighted cue ball. Didn't put the colour safe. And I think he chose that way because cue ball in behind yellow and brown might have put the pink on that side cushion. But I'm not sure that would have been a bad thing, John.
No, well, it's difficult from our position when the players at the table, they see it obviously a lot better. But it has to be said, Mark Allen has come out and he is struggling this morning. He needs something to spark him into life. Well, played the thin and missed it completely.
Mark Allen, 4. Yeah.
Yeah, Mark Allen wants
Brendan,
it
hang on.
replacing. It's a very thin edge. If he catches it anything quarter ballish, he's going to run into those reds near the top cushion. That's why he was concerned. But this makes it a bit of a pressure shot. Brendan Moore, our equivalent of the golden shot. Remember that, the golden shot.
Both.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say no, John.
Oh dear.
And the cue ball, 4 ball to the right.
Charlie Williams.
Keep going, cue ball, keep going, keep going.
Meanwhile,
Half a ball, Leo. Half a ball with the cue ball. Move them both half a ball to the right. Yep, stop with the green. Now the cue ball.
they were almost touching, but
Yeah,
he could clearly
yeah.
get through.
I think that may have been fractionally tighter.
So I'm going to try and play the same shot
Yeah,
anyway.
okay.
I'm just saying up front.
Yeah. Mark, fine.
Okay. He said, you heard him say, I'm going to try and play the same shot. It's got to be so thin. And now,
Foul, a miss.
pressure's on this. He
Mark
can't
Allen, 4.
play that again, because when you can clearly get through to the object ball, no, doesn't have
It's
to be
easy to
this
put the
one, it
cue
can
ball
be
down
another
first.
one on the other
Yeah.
side of the table. You've got
Right,
to
2
hit the
balls to
red
your
this
right with the
time.
cue ball.
We'll listen for the warning.
Both.
Keep going, 2 of them, yeah, 2 to the right. Stop, stop. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You might be talking fractions, but
Yeah.
it's right on the screen.
Okay. Mark, an 81 if you don't hit the ball on. Okay.
Okay, so the warning has been administered. Must hit the ball this time.
One.
Well, he wasn't too bothered about the pot. He was just trying to get it safe, which he'd done. And you saw the problem he had. If he'd have played the pot at pace, he'd have run into those reds, missed the pot, you bring them all into play.
Black ball.
You can hit the black.
Mark Selby, 1.
And then he uses that blocker of yellow and blue.
Well, it goes without saying he's in trouble here. That 50-point lead won't count for much should Mark Selby get the next potting chance with the black in play. And he's brought this all on himself. And he missed that red with the long rest 20 minutes ago. And his next visit to the table, he clipped off the loose red thin, played a good safety. But there was no threat to it at all. And this frame has descended into this fight now purely because of that decision.
It's a delicate shot, this. Well, he's played it with pace.
Oh, a miss.
Okay, I understand what he's
Mark
doing.
Selby 4.
He's thinking of coming off 2 cushions and clipping one of the reds and trying to get a bit of separation between cue ball and object ball. Well, as I say, it's his decision. You see it better when you're at the table. Cue ball's a little bit further over, and the reason I know that, and I took note,
Please.
Yeah,
is
it's
it was a
about half the ball
potential
towards you.
swerve around
Little
the
bit
yellow
further.
to hit that red and maybe push it to the top cushion.
Better.
It's fractions, if anything.
Yeah, I agree with Brendan Moore. It's just a fraction. But the swerve was on.
Played the shorts. Okay. Mark, thanks.
He's now looking at the swerve. But it's playing it hurriedly for me. But he's got it safe. Risky, but safe.
Well, there is nobody better in the game at getting out of snookers and leaving it safe than Mark Selby. He's incredibly good at that. But that from Mark Allen was very, very good. Well, there's a very, very small chance of playing the top red here. And then hit it half ball on the right as we look. And it could go in off one of the other reds. But don't want to smash the reds everywhere. Yeah, he just got the cannon a bit thin. Needs the blue to save him, and it hasn't. Opportunity, Selby. Needed that thicker contact on the second red there to keep that red away from the black. Didn't get the cover. And there is an angle here for Mark Allen to pot this, for Mark Selby, sorry, to pot this red and either move the reds or get on the black to move them. Move them now. Oh, and that second kiss on the black might have just ruined things. Does the black still pot? Oh, it does, but only just.
Yeah, it's one of those, if you're right behind it, you couldn't miss it, but it's a less than half ball pot. This is missable. I'll pick out the spot on the black and hit it there. Oh, no problem. Made it look easy. There was no anxiety in that hit. Calmly stroked it in.
8. Nine.
Well, he's underhit that by some distance. Wanted to be
16.
right behind this red so he could get to the black. And he'd love to finish there as he's pointing the tip so he could pop the black next shot, play with topspin and move the middle red of the three. If he could get that cannon right in 2 shots' time, he'd be on both of the reds down the cushion. And should this next sequence of shots go correctly, this frame becomes all about the green.
How has he overhit it?
7.
He played it well. But can he play the cannon on the red? Maybe the one that's separated from the other two he can. Now, the black's going to go back on its spot. Does that spoil things?
24.
It certainly does. Reduced his arrears to 22 points.
I'm just wondering here, though, Johnny, he's looking at the plant. He could play this plant almost as a safety shot built into one as well. If he sends the cue ball up towards the blue, he might have the blue, yellow or pink. It's just a question of, you don't know where the red's going to finish, so there's a little bit of risk involved, and it wouldn't be the biggest risk taker.
No, but is there an easier safety? It's back looking at the plant. But if it doesn't go in, and he's going to play it at pace because he wants to get the cue ball back up to the balk end, that red could rattle the jaws and go with the cue ball. Well, that did surprise me. Did surprise me. He played it delicately to stay on the black. Gifted the frame to Mark Allen, surely. Surprise shot selection, that.
That is one of the strangest shots I've ever seen Mark Selby play. Completely un-Selby-like, that shot.
1.
.30 points to lead. Red-black would put him 38 points in front with just 35 remaining. Seems a long time, Sean, but he's going to get a frame on the board eventually.
Well, yeah, this black does that numerically, but as we saw in the second session yesterday when Mark Selby got that frame needing snookers, Mark Allen needs to pop this next red to kill this frame off.
16.
One snooker required for that man in your picture now. This red will finish this frame.
17.
Well,
Allen,
not
17.
bothered about playing the black.
23.
Mark Selby sits in his chair. Well, he went for a very risky plant there, but he's trying to push on. But Mark Allen would be mighty relieved. It seems a long time since he last won a frame, but he won that one. 2 behind now, 9-7.
Thank you. Take your seats, please. Frame 17. Mark Selby to break.
Mark Selby breaks off. Not the best of break-offs. Cue ball coming away from the ball cushion. Mid-session interval after this. They're always important. Every frame's important, particularly in a semi-final. But you just feel that Mark Allen, if he can go in, still just one frame behind, he'll have something to show. Is the green coming to his rescue?
Thanks. Thank you.
Well, the cue ball looks to be this side of the green, so I can only assume he can get through to the red. Obviously. Just struggled in. It's funny, you know, Sean, when you watch a lot of snooker, you can tell when people hit the ball well or not. You know, it's just some of the sound of the strike. Didn't hit that well, you know, and I think both players, mid-range, are just not getting through the ball like they want to.
Yeah, you can actually hear the spin being applied to the ball, can't you? As a former player or as a current, you know, you can actually hear it landing on the cue ball, and you know whether the player has struck it correctly. He's got a good shot on here on the green. Full stretch, needs his extension. He can pop this green, come round off a couple of cushions for choice of reds.
Anywhere near the circle would be good. Not his best.
4.
No, he actually played the cue ball to go the other side of the blue there and hit the other cushion a lot higher up the table and slow it down for these two reds. He's actually still on this red to the yellow pocket. And that red underneath the pack not available to the right middle, so that he can play this with a hint of safety. Could work out in his favour, this.
It could well do now. Good pot, perfect on the black.
Yeah. Twelve.
Two ways of playing this shot. Which way do you prefer, Sean? The top spin or the back spin?
Yeah, it depends where the other balls are. I think topspin, you've got more chance of being on another ball than the black. With backspin, he's putting all his eggs in one basket here to retain position for the black.
13.
But that's worked out very well. I must admit, I do enjoy watching when Judd Trump or somebody like that plays that split shot. The reds seem to go everywhere. And it's become a very fashionable shot in snooker. Looking out for those patterns of play, reds at the bottom of packs, to use them to split the reds. Fascinating to watch snooker evolve over the years, how the players go about it.
Yeah, someone like Judd. People a little bit disappointed with that. He's underhit that. Still on the red, but should have been straighter. Yeah, they stun into them, don't they, to get the reds on the move, so to speak. Yeah, he's giving this plenty of thought, this pot. It should have been easier than this. And it was so difficult, it caused him to miss it. But it wasn't that pot, it was the positional play off the black. So neither player, I think I've got to say, firing on all cylinders here.
No, not at all. And actually, as Mark walked away from, there was a very nearly hit the side of the table with his fist after he missed that red. This was the poor shot to the black. Elementary shot to get right side of that red, you'd have to say. And as he walked away from the table, there was just the merest hint of frustration from Mark Selby. You don't see that very often. Here's the misread I was talking about. Now watch as he comes around the table. He nearly goes for it there. Just managed to stop himself. And Mark Allen will have seen that. He'll know that despite being 2 frames behind, Mark Selby is carrying a little bit of frustration. No doubt.
Easy to hit that main bunch of reds, but there's a few reds just separated. Those two near the top cushion, you know, you couldn't necessarily come into the back of the reds and not leave a chance of those. So you've got to catch this just right. Well, he took a chance on leaving a pot on here. And Mark having a very close look to see if there's a red available to the left middle. Having a close look at this. Is that red on to the left middle? He's been given a touching ball, so it's an easy path back to the balk end. And that's what he's choosing to do.
Yeah, that's the red there. I thought that might have gone to the left middle. I'm not sure it doesn't, but it's very tight. Mark Allen's view would have been better than ours.
Now this is a good shot, and you'll find this in frames of snooker. When somebody playing a safety shot knocks one of the ball colours off the spots, it gives the player a target. Now Mark Allen, when he was touching ball there, had a chance to get in behind the brown. He didn't. Where does he come next time to the table? Where he wanted to put Mark Selby the shot before. Well judged. Mark Selby definitely in control of this. Target will be to try and get behind the brown again. Tried to get tight in behind the brown. Just short. Could make a difference, that. Can Mark Allen get in behind the brown? Yeah, Mark Selby there was trying to get tight behind the brown snooker, and then there wouldn't have been a one-cushion escape, as there was before. But he's just a fraction short.
Well, Mark was trying to return the favour and put the cue ball behind the brown there. Caught that red a bit too thick, and in doing so, he's left this long red on for Mark Selby. He's usually very reliable at this type of shot, swinging the cue ball out of the danger zone. Reliable as ever. This on the blue has just spoilt things a tad. He was going to be on the brown, but for that cannon. Now, can he get through to the black?
Well, right down the line, Sean. He definitely can. Just to look for position. He'll be happy with that outcome, I promise you.
8. Nine.
Yeah, now playing for this red to the right of the black. He'll be able to stun round the back of the black for the same pocket, but the important thing is now the black will become available into both corner pockets. Big chance, big frame before the mid-session interval.
Sixteen.
Similarly to
23.
earlier on, he played for a red in a similar position, left the cue ball in the wrong place. He's done that again, which just means he's going to have to go a bit further away after potting this red. He's looked at the pink into the opposite pocket. He can just glide past the pink. Doesn't want to clip it on the way past. Yeah, and that positional shot on the black that went wrong has now led him into this position where he can't avoid the cannon on the next two reds, which shouldn't go wrong, but often does.
Just saw him there, working out how far he could push the cue through to get the action required, and that's why he reached for the extension. Yeah, you're going to cannon the top one. You just got to catch it right, just to nudge the bottom one down towards the black, but not too far. Perfect, just like that.
$30. $31.
So Mark Selby now 66 points ahead.
38.
75 remaining. So this red, and you would think the pink to follow. We'll give him this frame.
39.
Started the session one frame ahead, and it looks like he's going to take a 3-frame lead into the interval, and having trailed 6-3 at one point yesterday, this has been an incredible turnaround for the 4-time champion.
Well, Mark Allen will be going to his dressing room with a lot to think about, I would suggest.
46.
Mark Allen has made mistakes, but so has his opponent, Mark Selby. But I'm just getting the feeling, Sean, and don't get me wrong, his positional play has not been inch perfect, but Mark
53.
looks as though he's going to score better than Mark Allen, and that's going to be a big difference in this match. The Reds not got in,
53,
but 81 the lead with just 59 remaining. It's more than enough. So Mark Allen, lots to think about. He's now dropped 3 behind. 10-7, Mark Selby.